Hey Sens, any word on the Habs? Yeah, I got running a little bit late, but they sounded pretty angry. We'll better get as much of this week's script done as we can before they get here. Okay, we're gonna start with the Metro today. Okay, so Carolina isn't here today, but they're gonna be the first team to hit 30 points in the Eastern Conference. I'm gonna give them a couple of wins this week. And Jersey isn't here either. Man, must still be angry with all that Jack Hughes stuff. They're going to be even more angry with me after this week. They're losing all 3 of their games this week, including giving up 6 goals to Philadelphia. Ha! They deserve that. You know what, NYR? I'm getting really tired of your behavior. Because of you guys, Jack Hughes is now injured. So you know what? You guys are also losing all 3 of your games this week in regulation. You're dead last in the Metro Division, and you're one of only 2 teams in the Eastern Conference with a sub-500 record. But I thought we hired Sullivan in the offseason to be better, not worse. Yeah, if the R in your name meant retirement home, like, what is your problem giving young guys opportunities? Sullivan said we should trust our vets. I mean, that's what worked for Pittsburgh over the past couple of years. Yeah, like Pittsburgh didn't miss the playoffs the last 3 years. They did. Didn't they? I'll do some research to find out. Speaking of the Penguins, the Flyers are now the best team in Pennsylvania. They leapfrogged the Penguins this week in points. Now Columbus. Yeah, scriptwriter, we just want to know, with all the talk about Bedard and Carlson, how good those guys are doing, how good's Fantilli doing this year? Oh man, I completely forgot about Fantilli. He's going to have 4 goals this week, 5 points in the 4 games you guys play this week, including having 2-goal game in his hometown of Toronto, including the overtime winner. You guys get 5 out of 8 points this week, and you're right in the thick of it for a playoff spot. How's that sound? Great. You know, just because of the lack of success this franchise has had, to be in the playoff race and potentially have a franchise cornerstone is so great. So I'm really a fan of these things. Great to see. Isles. Schaefer has no points this week. What? Hold on. He has a +6 rating and is averaging 25 plus minutes per night. And you guys go 3-1-0 this week and are second in the Metro. When you think about it, given only Austin Matthews and Nico Hischier were able to lead their team just after they got drafted to the playoffs the following season, and they're the only 2 first overall picks in the last 10 years to do so, wouldn't you want Schaefer to join that list of guys as being a first overall pick who winds up going from being drafted the following year to making the playoffs? Yeah, I guess Schaefer being the number 1 overall pick and leading his team to the playoffs the year after he was drafted for the first time of it happening since Nico Hischier would actually be quite cool. Okay, now I not only want Matthew Schaefer to be the best defenseman in the entire NHL, but I would also like to make the playoffs. Good to see you guys have goals. At least you're way more fun to watch than in recent memory. Now in the Pacific. Can we get to the Atlantic yet? Be patient, Florida. Okay, so Calgary, you're going on a 3-game winning streak to end this week. No, we want to lose. We want Gavin McKenna. Don't worry, points percentage-wise, you're still going to be pretty low in the standings and potentially even still dead last. But the reason I'm giving you guys 3 wins this week is because by the end of this week, you, the Flames, who are one of the worst teams in the NHL, will have more regulation wins than the Edmonton Oilers. Okay, that is pretty hilarious, but just remember, we need to lose games next week. Okay, we'll see. Vegas, you are on a 6-game point streak. You got a point in every game you played last week, and on top of that, you are now within striking distance of top spot in the Pacific Division. Why are we not first? Because of the hole in net. You had a hill to climb up, and it was quite hard to do that without Aiden. Okay, point taken. I guess still being a top 15 in the Pacific Division without our starting goaltender is pretty impressive. Okay, so as for who is leading the Pacific this week, is it still us? Well, you guys get a point in 2 of the 3 games you guys play this week. Yes! But lose all 3 and are now out of the top 3. What? But then who is? Hello, LA. Ah! Stop doing that! We know you're a good team now, but you don't have to keep scaring me. Once again, who's leading the division? Anaheim. They win 3 of their 4 games this week. All come by 1-goal victories, and they beat the Vegas Golden Knights again in overtime. Hey! You're getting playoff monitor in the regular season. That's what you signed up for. And Anaheim leads the Pacific, and now have their new Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaf in Cutter and Leo. Great, back in front, and this new duo is going to terrorize the Pacific Division for years. Let's get cracking. Scriptwriter, how are we doing this week? You guys win 2 games, have 5 all possible 8 points. You don't look good in half of your games, but yet you still somehow find ways to get points. The court plays lights out against the Islanders, getting a shutout in a shootout loss. And on top of that, you guys are now second in the Pacific within 1 point of top spot in the Pacific Division. Who knew Layman Bear hockey could be so fun? Thanks for making us a playoff team, Scriptwriter. Really? You're putting the Orange Ducks and the Monsters of the Deep ahead of the Kings of Cali? You really weren't kidding when you said change was coming, weren't you? No, I wasn't. Now can we talk about the Atlantic? No, and don't ask me again. Now Colorado, hey scriptwriter, we winning this week? Yep, you won all of your games this week and end this week with back-to-back shutouts. And they're still the best team in the league by far. And Dallas, they're still there. They have a decent week this week. They do lose a little bit of ground against you. However, I am scripting a different Central team to get a little bit closer to you, and they've had basically as good of a November as you guys have had. Yeah, who? Hey Colorado. You're telling me the team left 1 win in 7 games to begin the season and is paying their star player $17 million is going to have a chance to catch us. Yeah, they go 3-0 this week. Boldy and Kaprizov are looking great, and their X factor is Jesper Wallstedt. We're going to call him the Wall of St. Paul. Oh, come on. How good can this kid really be? He has a shutout in 3 of his last 4 games, and his save percentage is through the roof. Wow, those are some good numbers. And how Edmonton didn't select this kid, I will not know. But it changes little, as we're like 7 points above the next closest team in the Central Division. We will see. Hey scriptwriter, we overheard you talking to Calgary, and yep, you lose your 1 game you play this week and you're now behind Calgary points wise for dead last in the NHL. Guess it's time for our fire sale. Now can we? Yes. What is it, Florida? So how are we doing this week? And it's Boston still leading the division. You guys go 2-0 this week, but you'll lose to Edmonton in the Stanley Cup final rematch. And no, Boston is no longer leading the Atlantic Division this week. Great. Now Edmonton fans can also call us frauds. By the way, who's winning the division now? Detroit. It doesn't look like they're here right now, but they go 2-0 this week, of course, because everybody loves Raymond. Lucas, of course. Well, I don't. Scriptwriter, I'm gonna whoop your hiney. Hold on, Montreal. You haven't heard this week's script. Okay, I'm listening. Hold on a sec. Ottawa? Yeah, scriptwriter? You guys go 2-0 this week. You don't lose a game. You tie Tampa for points percentage, the top spot in the entire Atlantic Division. And for the first time since 2016-17, you guys have a winning record in November. Winning games in November and doing it without Kachuk. Yeah, this team's different. Okay, Montreal. You start the week with 2 losses. You are getting a point, however. Oh, the end of this week better be good for your sake. It is. You guys finished the week by ending your losing streak and destroying the Maple Leafs. You absolutely dummied them. Mr. Anderson and Dobby both have 2-goal games, Dobson and Anderson, and you guys make Toronto look like a high school team. Alright, that's a pretty decent end to the week. No, it is not! When the freak did Montreal become a better team than us? Oh, it isn't just Montreal. You guys lose 2 of your 3 games this week. And in the spirit of change, I'm giving Buffalo 3 wins this week. They're going to leapfrog you. You're now dead last in the entire Eastern Conference. Thank you, scriptwriter. Maybe now we can end our playoff drought? Let's not go crazy. However, you did score 20 goals in the 4 games you played this week, so who knows? But I told you change was coming. You are now the worst team in Eastern Canada. But we've been to the playoffs 9 straight years. Silence, trash. We've both been to the conference finals in the Matthews era, and you haven't. I really don't see how this can get worse. Boston still has your first round pick, by the way. Crap!